Hi, I'm Christine Kensey, the Senior Director of Global Organizational Effectiveness at Phenom, and thank you for joining me for our IMHR session, Cultivating a Culture Where Employees Learn and Thrive. As a lifelong educator, it's no surprise I work on the people team at Phenom, given our purpose is to help a billion people find the right job. I know that for any business, people are the greatest asset. Like neurons in our brain, people form the connections and pathways that help companies achieve their goals and find success. And this means that retaining and developing our best talent is of critical importance. Now, the good news here is that employees are committed to their companies, especially when they show commitment back. In fact, 94% would stay at a company that was invested in their careers. Unfortunately, more than half of employees feel their companies don't provide them with enough opportunities to learn new skills and move up in their careers, and only 37% are satisfied with their organization's training and learning offerings. As a practitioner in the field, this last data point is particularly unsettling because I know how much time and resources L&D teams spend creating programming for employees, whether that's employee onboarding, manager training, instructor-led trainings and facilitation sessions, and even reimbursements for conferences, advanced degrees, and other external programs. So I can't help but wonder, where's the gap? What's the disconnect between what we're providing and what employees are experiencing? What I've come to find is that we all too often conflate training and learning, when in reality, they're different things. Training is often point in time with a discrete start and an end. People often approach training from a more passive mindset too, receiving information and then returning to their day to day when it's done, even if we don't want them to view it this way. On the other hand, meaningful learning is an active and reflective process that happens over time as we apply new knowledge and skills and reflect on the feedback that we receive from both ourselves and others. And this holistic view of learning positions development as cyclical rather than linear. It's no longer steps on a ladder, but more of a progressive loop. We follow formal and informal training moments with direct application and reflection, which lets us use that experience to reassess progress toward our goals and drive additional learning, which in turn leads to the next opportunity to apply and reflect, and so on and so on. When we view learning in this way, we broaden the definition and experience of professional development and career advancement. You don't need a certificate, a new role, or a promotion to grow. What you need are meaningful opportunities to apply knowledge in the flow of work and engage in conversations with others as you do so. Development is the experience, not the destination. Supporting this cycle may require organizations to shift mindsets around ownership and accountability, though, because it's not just about building great learning and development teams who facilitate training. It's about creating and sustaining a learning culture that's deeply embedded in an employee's day to day, which makes it everyone's responsibility. The beauty of this shift, though, is that learning happens all the time, which means creating a learning culture is not necessarily about creating more content or teaching people how to teach. It's about creating more intentional spaces for learning. We start by connecting existing training and content to the relevant skills and competencies our people want and need to develop. Then we can help employees use what they learned through real work so they can practice and learn with and from others. We enhance their learning using continuous feedback, and we maximize it with coaching and mentoring, which ensures employees reflect, assess their progress, expand their thinking, and continue to evolve and grow. So, what might this look like in action? Let's consider a few examples. Managers can develop soft skills for individual employees using curated content such as podcasts or TED Talks. They can then use this content as the basis of a conversation during a mentoring meeting or a one on one, reflecting on what was heard, brainstorming ways to apply the knowledge to the employee's daily work, and setting short term goals for improvement. Future meetings can be used to build on successes, review challenges, and continue through the learning cycle. I've done this before using a TED Talk from Tim Ferriss on fear setting, using my one on one to help employees define their blockers and fears and brainstorm ways they can prevent those from occurring or manage them in the moment if they happen. HR teams can support managers in this work by curating some of the content and providing mechanisms for managers to share resources they source, create, and/or use on their own. They can also ensure managers and employees have access to the tools needed to facilitate ongoing mentoring and coaching sessions and track their overall goals. Now, if organizations want to scale the learning for larger groups or populations, they can assign on-demand training content in advance of collaborative working sessions where larger groups tackle real business problems, reflect together, and build on the knowledge they gained. By flipping the learning experience and putting the scaled resources first, you create more space for deeper learning to happen when you bring people together. One example of this I've seen done well is when helping teams develop critical thinking skills. After sharing initial content around problem solving and bias and asking good questions, the group came together to review open issues and workshop solutions. The time was valuable for everyone because they finished real work while also learning how to problem solve better as individuals and as a group. Now, HR teams can support this type of learning by surfacing the right training content based on the skills and competencies that employees want to develop for their given career goals. Removing the barriers to finding the right content gives people just in time learning with the highest possible value for them. Perhaps the most powerful way to develop talent in the flow of work is through job rotations, gigs, or cross functional projects and stretch assignments, all of which can be paired with reflective experiences such as retrospectives, mentoring, or coaching sessions. With this approach, work is getting done in real time as the employees are learning, moving the business forward, and advancing, all without needing a formal promotion or a title change. Job rotations and short-term gigs work especially well for organizations where roles have a good degree of skills overlap and movement across the company is supported. When the work is done as a team, it also provides a great opportunity to conduct reflective reviews at key milestones to assess progress, learn as a group, and adjust for the future. In this one, HR teams play a critical role in supporting learning because they serve as business partners to the leaders and teams as they define gig opportunities. HR teams can communicate processes and policies that will guide the work organizationally and ensure everyone has access to the opportunities using the right tools and systems. When we shift our approach from providing training to creating a culture of learning, we increase the value for both employees and the business. Gigs and cross-functional work help break down the silos and improve knowledge sharing across the business. Focusing less on formal programs and more on experiences supports agile learning that moves at the speed of business. And as employees socialize and in turn institutionalize their learning into their new practices, the organization learns and becomes more productive and effective. So you might be wondering how we get there, right? What does it take to create a learning culture? The short answer is that it starts with your leaders. L&D teams can support training, share best practices, and create content. But as I said earlier, the learning happens in the doing, and that's where you need managers. It's critical that we hire and train managers who are coaches, who see the value in mentorship, and who align with the vision you have for employee development. And then we need to provide ongoing training and feedback to those managers as they engage with their teams and provide learning experiences for their people so that they continue learning and evolving as they support others' development. And finally, we need to reinforce the vision for learning across the company with ongoing communication and explicit celebrations of learning moments. This is how the culture is sustained. And speaking of sharing messages, I can't express enough how important it is to market learning the way we market our brand, our services, and our open positions. It's easy to think that just because people say they want learning and development, and we all know they do, that they'll actively seek it out once it's there. But the reality is that the day-to-day can make it hard for people to come up for air and focus on the long-term value, like working on their development. We have to sell them on this value, and that starts by sharing stories. Who's seen career growth as a result of your opportunities? What outcomes came from a particular learning experience? Make sure that you market this and message it to your employees to help increase awareness and also establish some credibility and impact for organizational leaders who are looking at resource allocation and budget. You may also want to consider hosting internal events similar to those that you host for external candidates to help your employees with career pathing or internal mobility opportunities. And most importantly, make sure your people know where to go to access all of these offerings and that they have the right tools and technology to facilitate the work. As humans, we're all learning all the time, even when we don't know it. So creating a learning culture where employees can thrive is about leveraging that natural instinct to learn by creating intentional spaces where we can collaborate, communicate, and evolve together. Our job as practitioners is to design the experiences that move people forward with intention and know how to best support them along the way. Thank you for joining our session today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the event this week.